Hello everyone, I'm going to be reviewing Doctor Who Spyfall Part 1 for you today. Got a new year, new series. I do want to start reviewing Doctor Who stuff, but there's a lot of it to do and I haven't started doing it yet. I'm sort of new to this thing, I guess. I've been watching since Unearthly Child till all of them, except there'll be a few gaps in the first, second Doctor bits because lost episodes, but it's a franchise I'm being pretty my favourite franchise. So I might as well review what I like and try and get something out of that. But yeah, the first episode of the new series, Series 12, with Jodie Whittaker as the 13th Doctor, Spyfall Part 1. So yeah, this is a two-parter. Which is actually the first two-parter in Chibnall's stuff. It's a change. I think it's welcome change, actually, because a lot of the stories of the last season seemed very rushed. Right, Ghost Monument, for instance, the second episode of Series 11, there were good themes in it. It was interesting, but it seemed like more could have been done, and it's a shame not. I guess when you're dealing with the BBC and loads of other shows they show, you just don't have any slots available. So what can you do? Anyway, this episode sort of starts a bit like Resolution did in New Year's last year, sort of going all sorts of weird locations around the planet, like Africa, some plane somewhere over the Pacific, with obnoxious location text. Like we're talking not as obnoxious as in Resolution, because that was half the screen. But this is a big sort of font at the bottom, right there. Really? Is that needed? It wasn't as bad, so I can't really complain too much, but don't. But yeah, these spies across the world getting sort of attacked by these sort of weird aliens which come up the walls or ceilings, whatever. So that happens, opening sequence. Then you're looking at the companions. Hey, you sort of start looking at Ryan. Ryan's playing basketball with his mates. I guess he's sort of still coming to terms with being open about his dyspraxia. Because that was sort of a significant thing in his character development from last season. Well, not significant. The most significant thing was his relationship with Graham, his grandfather, but it was sort of his character sort of had to deal with it and wasn't confident as a result of it. And I guess maybe he's been working on that since last season. So yeah, he's doing that. Talking to one of his mates about he's traveling, whatever. Then these Men in Black shot, stereotypical, the suit and sunglasses. You can see they're totally going for the whole spy thing, aren't you? Yeah, they take him away. Then it's Yaz with her parents. Then looking to a colleague from work, but she's being deployed elsewhere for some weird stuff, and he's alright, but I'm a bit suspicious. And then the Men in Black Sharp take her away. Then you got Graham, who's seen his doctor checkups, which I think is to do with his former cancer situation, which, as we know from last season, he got with Grace because she was treating him until he got better. There's been lots of theories from the Facebook groups. I see. I'm mainly going off TARDIS posting here. That's it. If not wrong. Saying Graham's sort of cancer is going to become a subplot line at some point. From this appearance, it just seems like everything's going fine. Nothing's shown up. So Graham seems to be fine right now. We can hope. We don't want to lose it too quickly. But then he gets outside, and then Men in Black turn up, as they do. Now about the Doctor, who's doing this weird thing. To be honest, I actually don't actually know what she's doing. Like something about like waterfalls and rainforests, and I thought I should just say it like 3 or 4 times. I just don't understand. But yeah, that's what she's explaining to like the Men in Black who just turned up to her last. With Graham just coming out the window, just saying "worst Uber ever." Like, I guess you got to have a relevant joke every now and again. It wasn't such a bad joke, to be fair. I mean, this is Graham. Graham comes up with the one-liners. He's the one-liner companion, whilst everyone else does stuff. But yeah, they're in the car. They sort of now go through some tunnel with the sat nav. Alarm bells. As we know in Doctor Who, sat navs haven't been the most positive experience for the Doctor, going by Poison Sky Sontaran's stratagem. As you can guess, the sat nav starts to malfunction. Like the driver gets completely disintegrated. Obviously, like expendable characters, you have something go. She actually has to solve it without using a sonic screwdriver, which is nice. Like, oh god, wow, that must have been difficult. But anyway, obviously this is Stephen Fry's car, whose character's name is C. But I'm just going to call him Stephen Fry. Who's from MI6, so like the fancy one. Yeah, like the team's going to meet him. Like obviously, like spies at Walker's World are disappearing. The Doctor's got to find out what's going on. Simple as that. This bit of dialogue with C and the Doctor. There's a couple of things which it's nice for them to touch up on, but it might be a bit excessive and out of place. So, firstly, there's this joke, like Stephen Fry says, like he's read the Doctor's files and he's supposed to be a man, right? I guess like, you got to have a little reference. I think people are still a bit confused, obviously. And then the Doctor sort of tells like, "Well, I've had an upgrade, right?" Make of that what you. I mean, it's all right. It's an all right jab. I don't think it's particularly political or anything. Like I can see like the on the tone of it. Some people might get that it's political, but I wouldn't personally say so. I mean, the Doctor usually like mentions like of an upgrade, like whenever they regenerate, somebody brings it up. It's probably fine. I mean, we're watching YouTube. We're watching. Ah, God. No, but the second thing, which I think is a bit more clearly annoying, because Stephen Fry mentions, like, oh, we don't deal with alien stuff. There are organisations that deal with that. There's Torchwood and there's Unit. For which the Doctor just responds like, well, both of them no longer exist. That's my problem. Like, they've gotten like Torchwood. I can understand. It's existed through these spin-off with Jack Harkness and all that, but based on the last things that have happened, it's sort of like Children on Earth. Torchwood exploded. That it was just a team that remained. Then Children of sit down. Miracle Day. You had that weird thing where like everyone had Jack Harkness's ability, and then Jack was killable. Well, like again, they didn't have the Torchwood facility. They were just the team with a few American additions. So I guess like you could say Torchwood's kind of dead, unfortunately. But there you have it. Unit we saw from the 12th Doctor was pretty much fully active with Kate, Stewart, and Osgood. 2 Osgoods. They didn't appear during season 11. Last appearance. Can't actually remember if they're in season 10. I don't think they were actually. Because there was the Zygon invasion, Zygon inversion, which had those two in it, and it had the Osgoods involved in that and stuff happening. But season 10, there wasn't really much touching into it. I think they might have been mentioned, but again, I can't remember. But season 11 in Resolution confirmed that unit was disbanded for some reason because international funding or Brexit or it was something stupid. But like in this episode, it's like, oh, unit no longer exists. Like a pretty significant task force that's been relevant non-stop. Like aliens have not stopped. The unit's always been doing something. Like no question about it. I don't actually remember when unit was founded. I think it might have been some point after Torchwood was by Queen Victoria. I know, like, unit's been a pretty big thing. Like John Hurley was there, where they were like fully funded. Like the Prime Minister was like in contact with them regularly. There wasn't really any sign of like any problems. Oh, well, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Maybe something will be fixed eventually, but that's really bugged me in this episode. Like, I actually liked this episode. I just hated these very irritating removals of sense and very important establishments or characters that contribute a lot to the lore of what the hell's actually going on. Like, without unit, what is there to deal with? Anything? Like, there's no organization that's there to sort of deal with anything that appears alien. Like, nothing to cover it up, nothing to eradicate any signs of problems that could cause a mass panic. But then you have these ghost things appear as well. I was like, okay. Yeah, good job getting rid of unit, guys. Anyway, I've spoken too much about unit. This is just going to take ages now. Some long ass video. Dalek Mark. Anyway, all that shit. Like, oh no, you got to stop the thing. Oh yeah, they showed the body of one of the spies were kidnapped, attacked, whatever. In a coma, kind of like thing, but it's worse than a coma. Like, the DNA's literally been rewritten. She's no longer human. She's just a husk that looks human. She's just a thing, and like literally an it. Nothing. Which is quite an interesting idea. Big questions as why, how, what. Like that's happened. Then given like 2 contacts, I think. Like 2 contacts for people to talk to by sea, season 5. A person called O. Oh boy, James Bond. Such parody. Oh dear. Who the Doctor seems to know. Well, yeah, whatever. And then this other guy, I forgot the name of the character, but Lenny Henry, so I'm going to call him Lenny Henry. Who's sort of big, rich person. Anyway, so then to both of these people, so Doctor and Graham split up to go to O. Simply. Yaz and Ryan go to spy on Lenny Henry. So good job. They split the teams. This is when everything gets wrong. Oh no. But no, we beat O with Graham and Doctor. He's sort of a person, most sensible person, like MI6 that got fired, like because he was just too open-minded or whatever. Yeah, see, this is what happens when uni goes. Okay, Okay, I've got to go back to the Unity again because Stephen Fry plays the head of MI6, who is supposed to know pretty much anything important that could threaten the safety of the United Kingdom. Yet he had no clue whatsoever that Torchwood and Unit were gone. Yeah. No. I don't buy it. Oh yeah, he's dead, by the way. He got shot in the back, shot in the head. I missed out the bit where, like, Stephen Fry gets shot in the back by this laser. Then the creatures come out from the walls. They look like the things were flatlined at this point. That's what I thought. They are, like, coming through the walls. They had the patterns on the faces, like, of what they came through. You didn't really see them fully emerge, but then everyone just gets the fuck out of there. So now, again, everyone's split off. They meet O. Who's sort of been researching aliens. He knows the Doctor. He's got machinery to, like, monitor shit and all that. Apparently, or whatever. With Lenny Henry, you got Yaz and Ryan. They need to get as much information as they possibly can. Ryan's the photographer. Yaz is the journalist. They need to get, like, biometric data, photos, whatever. So they arrange to meet him. They get an interview with him. They've got fake social media profiles which seem legit. They've got, like, this. Yaz has this thing which got given this thing which lets you like, take, like, all sorts of biometric readings for someone you're interviewing. And actually, on the note of that, I overlooked a bit about the very nice sort of parody of James Bond just before, like, the mission debriefing, where they're being shown, like, all the gadgets, like you get with, like, Q and James Bond. And it's quite a nice scene because, like, obviously, like, you're taking the mick out of James Bond, but you also, I mean, the gadgets are the fun bit. Like, Ryan and Graham have this sort of moment, like, where they're complete, like, children at this point. Like, Ryan and Graham are like, oh, these look fun. And then Stephen Fry's just like, they're not toys. And it's like, Graham's like, yeah, that's right, they're not toys. And if you say otherwise, I'll have to shoot you with my shoe. Ah, God. This is like, Graham's this sort of dad joke figure. Boomer meme. And Ryan's just sort of this grown-up guy who sort of likes to be a bit childish, but when he sees Graham acting like that, he's sort of very slightly like, don't stop doing it. You're embarrassing me. I know, like, back to the interview with Lenny Henry. That seems to be going fine. They get, like, an interview, they ask him stuff, get information. Ryan's taking photos of, like, his badge and stuff. After the interview with Lenny Henry, Yaz and Ryan look at the results from the biometric reader to find out that he's actually 93% human, which raises alarm bells, questions like, who the hell is he, why is he on it? And then we're back to O's facility, where some of the creatures sort of start to appear, well, not appear yet, but they're sort of tripping the systems and the lights, so that they're just making everyone aware. They're just playing around, making everyone aware. So they're sort of back, and Doctor comes out for a bit, like, oh, what's going on? There's no readings on the Sonic, because for some reason the creatures don't appear on the Sonic. So they go back inside to also look at the machines more. So the guards will come out the back. So then the creatures start to appear and attack the guards. So they sort of appear like these sort of, they don't look like they did before when they were coming through the walls. They look like these bright lights, like human figured lights. They sort of, at this point, it looked like they're wearing hats. Like, it's a bit weird. But yeah, they're sort of sort of like consume the guards in a way. Bit weird. Like they don't exhibit any of the behaviours that they did when they were attacking the spies at the start of the episode, which seems to be more secretive and with the idea of like changing the DNA. There might be more information later, but after that, alright. So there you go. Doctor comes out again and sees what's happened. He sees the creatures. So then everyone goes back into the house again, where O activates this force field as the creatures approach the house to sort of stop most of them except for one, which gets in. Well, then they trap that one in this sort of electrically charged cage thing. And then the Doctor starts questioning it, trying to figure out what the hell it is, where it comes from. And then just eventually, when she asks where they're from, she says like, what was it? Oh yeah, so far beyond your understanding. That doesn't say anything really. But they take the appearance just to sort of mock people. Then it says that then it's sort of planning to take over, and it's sort of looks like the town, the planets, and it says the universe. So obviously you know what the scale we're dealing with here. Not exactly the first time someone's claimed that, but you know, there we go. It's quite interesting that first episode of a New Who series starts off with something on a universal scale. Like, I don't know if there's any plans for anything related to this at the end of the season, but it's quite adventurous for the start. Right, so we're back to Yaz and Ryan, who's downloading more. They choose to stay behind to download data from Lenny Henry's computer after finding out that he's 93% human. So as that's doing it, Lenny Henry gets back. They go into hiding behind like a sofa or something. Lenny Henry's like, "Oh, I know you're here. Reveal yourselves." And then the creatures start coming out, and they interact with Lenny Henry. And there's sort of more dialogue that implies there's a relationship between the two. That the creatures are being sort of sloppy and I don't know why he'd say that. And they need to defend something. Again, nothing. At this point in the episode, nothing's actually clear except we know Lenny Henry's involved. We know the creatures are something big problem. That's about it. So we're sort of still left in the dark halfway through the episode, which kind of makes sense because this is a two-parter, and like they're doing the pace quite well. They're giving us information, not too much information. Nobody can guess what's going on, except for like making wild theories. Like even then, there's nothing to base it on. So episode's pretty good so far. But no, after this, Yaz like, "Oh, we need to let's look a bit more," and then the creatures comes out of nowhere. I mean, like Lenny Henry's gone by this point. Like creatures are gone by this point, but then one more sort of comes out and confronts Yaz, then immediately attacks her, transporting her to this sort of strange like forest of these like plastic tube straw things everywhere, which is a little bit weird. Right, so then at that point, what was going on? The one that's captured by the Doctor and O and Graham sort of works with the other creatures, I presume. So just sort of massive build up of energy so that they can. I don't know if it gets the other one out or if it destroys the other one in order to send Yaz as a message. But Yaz turns up where the encaged creature was. So now everyone's back together again. Well, I presume some time's passed because Ryan would have had to get there at some point. Maybe they just got in a TARDIS and just like boop boop. But yeah, everyone's back together. Yaz sort of talking to Ryan about like what happened, and what she remembered. Like she remembered like feeling like she was dead, I think, or like she probably was dead, or for a moment, like alone and nothingness. Maybe we're dealing with something which has some sort of existence between like states of living and death or something like that. But again, nothing really. Now, like O's now talking to Graham about the Doctor, and it seems like O's got like a lot of information on the Doctor, like all sorts of like incarnations and like history, which is interesting in a way because at that point, I don't really want to sort of. I know the episode and this is a spoiler review, but I just kind of want to work through like the logic behind it rather than like saying it doesn't really indicate anything that happened later. No, I mean, someone who's met the Doctor once, right, who seems to be as obsessed to the level that Clive from season 1, episode 1, that's a flashback, that's a throwback, had done, but actually not quite that level because Clive was like, that's pretty much the only thing he did. I mean, except for like working, like supporting his family. It wasn't so much as a red flag at this point, but then they're looking at the data from Lenny Henry's computer that Jazz and Ryan got, and they find out about this sort of organization called VOR. Very good choice of words, Chibnall. I've already seen memes about that, so that's fun. It's actually spelled VOR, so nothing to worry about. So there's some hidden code within like VOR systems or something that the Doctor gets. Like it's in some language that isn't really on any database, but it's sort of like decode it using the TARDIS, like being open to new languages. I don't know how that works. But then it's like sometimes there'll be some sort of like picture like code. And it ends up showing like a picture of the planet Earth which sort of shows like these lights on it according to where each creature is on the map, or like where the light concentrations of them are. So that sort of gives a bit of a scale. And then the map splits into like 8 to 10 versions of planet Earth with slightly different makeups of like where the creatures are. The Doctor's like, oh, what does this mean? Multiple Earths? Well, as we all know, the Doctor knows like multiple Earths are a thing. Like this must have like shot past ahead like at one point. Like, are they multiple dimensions or something? I mean, at this point, the audience has more information, and this is like we're like most of the way through the episode now. I think there's like another 20 minutes because this one's like an hour and 5 minutes ish, and we're sort of getting a picture like maybe these creatures are from like some inter-universe thing. That's a per guess. That's what we are. Though actually, I'll talk more about the creatures at the end because there's quite a lot of stuff being theorized that people have said. But no, after this, they need to go and spy on Lenny Henry. Basically, again, like infiltrate one of his parties, despite the fact that he already knows who two of them are. And that goes well. But just as they enter the TARDIS, there's this thing of oh, like, oh, do you want to enter the TARDIS? Like, ooh. And then when he enters, it's like, shut up. So this is ridiculous. But at this point, like, I did have a slight red flag moment because I think he seemed a bit too excited, or like he didn't seem like as excited as like Osgood would have been. But he sort of had this sort of thing going on. And I was very, very slightly suspicious of him at this point. It's a bit weird. So I don't know how many other people thought of anything at this point, but like, I mean, as far as I knew, sort of, it was played pretty well. This sort of ominousness and sort of like the characters sort of as they are. There's not really anything like major red flag about him, I guess, that I noticed. Though someone might have picked up on it. So they are going to the party. They've dressed up for the party in these sort of like very smart suits. Like all the guys are in these tuxedos. Yaz is in this sort of like suit. With sort of like her jacket's sort of like a bit sparkly, which is quite nice. And the doctor's sort of got like what looks like a tux like suit to begin with. She keeps her annoying like she keeps a weird thing with like the rolled up trousers sleeves. And the boots. It's similar to the costume, I guess. So that's something, but it just seems a bit weird for a fancy party like this. Oh well. So they're getting in for that. Yeah, I mean, just like a few minutes of like everyone sort of mingling, I guess. Like Ryan and Graham's playing roulette. Pretty lucky with love, so that's a nice moment for them. Like grandfather, grandson, kind of little, just them playing around a bit. Yes and no playing craps, so that nice thing. Them sort of having a little tiny moment, I think. I don't know if I'm not sure if O was trying to subtly flirt with Yaz or not. It could have just been part of the ploy. And then the doctor's playing cards. But she doesn't know what the hell they're playing, which seems a bit odd because I think the doctor's sort of got quite a good understanding of like Earth, human, especially on Earth. He sort of knows how to party sometimes and have a bit of fun. Like playing poker is something that I can imagine like most previous doctors would know how to do or have done at some point. And I'm pretty sure I can't remember a specific instance, but I'm pretty sure like at least one of the doctors has to have played it once watching YouTube. And then after this, the doctor goes to confront Lenny Henry about everything that's found out. She's pretty direct about it, which isn't sort of very spy-like, I guess. But I mean, it's the doctor, so. And I mean, she's not exactly. We're dealing with extraterrestrial, and the doctor's not exactly human himself, as we already know. But no, he's like they're both pretty much alone at this point. I mean, maybe he thought she had something like recording thing to like incriminate him, but it didn't seem like some reason like he should just be so flat out like stubborn about like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. You're insane. You need to get some professional help. So then he sort of goes away. He's like threatens her to stay away. And then he sort of tries to get away in his car. They all notice they follow him on his bikes behind. So he's got like 3 motorbikes for some reason as spares, as you do. Doing sort of like a car chase. So like that sort of Bond-like car chase with like gun, with him shooting a gun, like Lenny Henry shooting a gun at everyone. This part of the episode was quite nice. Like I like the sort of they're trying to keep up with the parody aspect of it, and it was quite a nice action scene. Though there was sort of like a few little tiny details which kind of were a bit weird. Like when they turned around the corner, like Lenny Henry's car, like there was this sort of like tree of like just filled with like trees or something. But it's kind of like the same sort of patterns of the trees there. But it's like the trees are pretty small. Maybe they're like another orchard or something, or some other like fruits, whatever. When like a couple of them probably could have gone through those fields in pursuit, but like maybe just one, like and a couple of them sort of following behind Lenny Henry because like when they were all going through there, then only really had like one direction to shoot in, which kind of puts everyone at risk, rather than if you're like following from like two sides, you're kind of flanking him a bit. So if he has to turn around, then you can just sort of gain on him. And then they get this Vor airport. So Lenny Henry needs to get on a plane to get out of there, God knows where. Again, we're still getting pretty Bond-like with this whole like, getting this aircraft bit of the movie, as always is. But they all try to board his plane, which is like a personal jet. Quite nice. Yeah, so they're all getting on there. As the plane sort of started to take off, sort of jump on the back through the sort of the open hatch bit, which the Doctor swipes open. O is a bit slow behind, but he manages to get there. And it's at this point that everyone's sort of settling in, like the Doctor tells everyone to relax, that she confronts O over this small detail, like you're not good at sprinting, despite the fact that your records and like qualifications are that you've been a pretty great sprinter before. And it's like, it was a bit of a weird note to transition to, oh, you caught me in my disguise. Turns out I am your number one enemy, the Master. And I'll talk about this after I've finished up the summation of the story, but like, the Master reveals himself. He sort of says he's behind it all, he controls the creatures. So he sort of... Then anything has disappeared, and in his place there's a bomb. The Doctor can't disarm with the sonic screwdriver because obviously the Master has all sorts of plans, and the sonic screwdriver is just overpowered anyway, and we need to stop. So they need to stop the Doctor from using it. But I mean, the lengths they go to make the sonic screwdriver useless just seem as outrageous as the excessive use of the sonic screwdriver itself. So that's happened. Now, so there's this whole the plane's crashing, everything's going chaotic. The Master sort of sets the creatures to attack the Doctor to take her away. He expects he expects that she's gonna die after this. Kind of weird. She didn't. Like, just before the point, I mean, after she's sent to that weird forest that Yaz was with the pipe, straw, plastic things. And just before that, the Master tells Doctor that everything you know is wrong. And then when the Doctor's in the thing and then the plane's crashing, and then the Master teleports away, because of course he does. We have the cliffhanger, and the episode's over with the next time video, which I have not seen yet. I don't want to... next time videos, it might not spoil it, but I just want to avoid any little details. Ideally. This sort of gives a bit of the surprise element tamed. Right, but now we're going through the story, so I'm just going to pick up a few points. So I've already talked about Unit's situation at the start, and there's nothing else. There's nothing else I want to or can say about it, as much as I should. But firstly, the creatures. So I said at the start, they seem like the things from Flatlined, from how they come through the walls with the images retain a bit of thing. But later on, you see them in their sort of pure light form, and they seem a bit more intelligent than they did in Flatlined. Actually, the ones from Flatlined are called the Bolus, I think. I can't remember what it was. No, it didn't seem like them anymore. Then I was thinking they seem slightly Varden-like. The whole they sort of teleport around in the form of energy. But I think even then, the Doctor knows what Vardens are, and Vardens don't really transport themselves in that fashion. they sort of teleport themselves along radio frequencies or like any sort of anything like that. So really like that. Then I've been reading people suggest like they could be the Vords because they look like the Vords from like a First Doctor, the Keys of Marinus. I mean, that's possible. And because the Vords is a sort of like synthetic alien being. But I don't recall them being anything like that. I mean, the Doctor's already knows about them. They already exist to some degree. But then they also brought up the fact that the strange company name is Vor. So again, Vord, possibly. But then I had sort of like one thing, like they seem a bit like the Quatch from Masters of War, which was the Doctor Who Unbound episode with the sympathy for the Devil Doctor. Alternate Universe Third Doctor, portrayed by David Warner, which is quite a good. It's a good like Sympathy for the Devil and Masters of War are pretty good episodes. They're not part of the same universe. Clearly, it's a different Doctor. It's a different universe. The Unbound series is What Ifs. So I mean, it's like I think I got it for like £3 from Big Finish. So I mean, it might still be that price. They are quite old. They're definitely worth it. But anyway, the Quatch is sort of like they're not exactly from. I can't remember exactly the specific details of what they weren't exactly like natives to the universe. And I can't remember the nature of them, but they kind of were like they were an enemy of the Daleks and the Thals, and they sort of posed a threat to the Thals and I guess other life forms too. Which is why the Daleks protected the Thals. You may be confused hearing that, but this makes sense for this universe because there's a very specific thing that happened. It's like it's not the same universe, and I think I've seen something like maybe it's Cybermen. Like that. We've had Missy and Cybermen Dark Water. We don't need it again. I think Dark Water was quite a nice episode. The one following it was alright. I think it's the problem with Cybermen. You run a risk because it's like you run a strong risk of just overusing them, and like compared to, I mean, Daleks are overused too, but there's more you can do with the Daleks, and the Daleks kind of have very like clear like Doctor Who sort of. They got their like catchphrases. They're pretty symbolic. The Cybermen, they're quite a nice theme. They're a nice theme, and they got a nice backstory. But it's sort of at some point when they're like the fully armored war machine like types that got introduced for like most of the classics and the early New Who era. It just seems weak. Deletes. It's a shame, really. Then, like, World Enough in Time happened, and those were amazing. That was amazing. But no, Cybermen, I hope not. That'd just be really disappointing. But no, I think that's about all I could say on like theories of who they are. I mean, most likely it's like something completely new. But no, like from this one episode, we barely know anything for certain, and that's quite a good point to end the episode on, especially after a reveal like the Master, which I'll talk about later. Yeah, so it's a good note to finish on. Oh shit, things are happening. We don't know anything. So now we're going to go on to the Master himself. Now, this part I was extremely disappointed by. And the Master's got a lot of potential as a villain, but I think the problem with modern Who writers is that they kind of overestimates his like character's personality points. like when he reveals himself, he sort of flaps around a bit, like the 11th Doctor. And I mean, that's a little bit of a quirk like that's all right, but it just seemed a bit too much like a carbon copy. And then there are moments when he's interacting with the 13th Doctor. Why do I keep saying that? Especially when she's disarming the bomb with the sonic screwdriver, I'm trying to. That he sort of has this like neurotic, like John Sim style neurotic attitude. We just shout unnecessarily. It's a bit cringe, to be honest. Like the Masters generally, classic incarnations, you've had Roger Delgado and Anthony Ainley. Both were pretty much like evil geniuses, rather than like neurotic, power mad renegades. Like Roger Delgado was peak master. It was like he can manipulate anyone and hypnotize them with his eyes, and he is the master. The Anti-Ainley was quite good following. Eric Rogers, I mean, moves only in movie, so you can't really do much about that. Derek Jacobi was pretty amazing as the Master. He was only in Utopia for like a few minutes as the Master, which was quite a good portrayal. Like he was sinister. He had this he was a bit sort of had this manipulative feel to him. Like he is just like evil and sort of slightly charismatic. He knows what he wants. And in Big Finish's War Master series, like he's had like 2 or 3 now. I've seen the first episode of the first series, which I think the first series is kind of like his last, like near the end of his War Master timeline. Like he was very dark and manipulative. Like he led people to fully believe in him. Like not as like John Simm's Masters, like what it was like his wife and like people like to. He had to use like this Archangel network to do it. But like the Master he got into Derek Jacobi's Master in that episode got into people's heads. They truly believed him, and like one person who truly believed in him in like the first episode, it led to their death. Their death was horrible. They were aged to death by him because he just didn't want to let them go. Like he could have just easily done so, but like that person's a witness, and they already know too much, and like he can't really have any loose ends, so she is gone, expendable. But this Master just 11th Doctor neurotic John Sim kind of hybrid. We might see more later, but I'm just very disappointed at this point. I mean, I imagine people would have disagreements on that, but which is fair enough. I just feel this is a bit. Do we need it? And again, actually, on the actual Master character himself, where they fit in. With the season 10, we saw Missy sort of having a redemption arc, and right at the end, before she's shot by the Master, like John Simm's Master, she's like, "I'm going to side with the Doctor. There's nothing you can do about it. I've made my choice." Which means sort of if this Master's based on one after that, if Missy somehow regenerated, but it's very like they have a habit of killing off the Master, but it seemed like Stephen Moffat or whoever else wrote it made a very big deal of making sure Missy was finished off, or made it appear that she was finished off completely once and for all. I mean, and even then, even if she managed to regenerate, there's that entire character arc from season 10, which would have been completely erased by this new master, which is very disappointing and just seems like a waste of what was being achieved. Which leads to the main idea of what is actually the case. So, what could most likely actually be the case, which is that this master's from before Missy, possibly between John Sim and Missy, John Sim and Michelle Gomez. I keep saying like John Sim and Missy, like Missy. There's only one Missy, and John Sim's like just one of multiple like masters. Well, I mean, they're the same character. So between John Sim's master and Michelle Gomez's Missy, it could be more like one or more incarnations, possibly just one more. Because I can't remember anything specific about this, but I believe there's something hinted about like one left behind, or like someone left behind, possibly like an incarnation of the master. That begs questions. I can't imagine anyone before John Sim, though. Derek Jacobi, John Sim, that was direct link. Derek Jacobi was the War Master. He started the war with the Time War. He was the first one there. His was after Eric Rogers, I believe. No, actually no. There was something which happened with the Eric Rogers Masters that was touched on. I can't remember exactly what I was reading about it on TARDIS Wikipedia. It's a very good source, by the way. But no, like even before then, they have Big Finish stuff shooting like a couple more master types to like 2 or 3. I think a couple of them have been pretty alright going, except for one of them. Like James Dreyfus plays the master in the first Doctor Adventures with David Bradley. And I don't think his one's particularly popular with people, although I haven't actually listened to many of the audios yet myself. As far as this episode goes, the Master, I mean, a nice reveal's nice, but I don't think the character's done right. And there's just one more quirk with the Master. I did actually like this reference, in that he used the miniaturization rate to shrink the original O in order to take his place. Like that was... The O infiltrating MI6 like that and getting trusted by the Doctor, that was done well. Because that was very subtle. It's just everything after this point was just so unsubtle and just messy. Yeah. But no, the miniaturization rate we saw was quite a big thing in the classic era. Not with Roger Delgado so much though. I think it was mainly around with Anthony Ainley. Because he used it when I can't remember if he used it when it was the Peter Pratt version. Or the Jeffrey Beavers one. When he was like the default master. I might have to watch Deadly Assassin again and Keeper of Dragon. But in Logopolis, he used it on Tegan's auntie and the police officer. I mean, it's the matter decompressor, I think. Tissue matter decompressor or something like that. How it works is you shoot someone with it, and their entire body is like shrunken. Their matter is just shrunken into this tiny, figure, and they're dead at this point. Like, there's no way they can survive. There's no way to survive it. Their life's gone. They're just tiny corpses. It's pretty dark. Pretty dark way to go. Yeah, that was a nice nod. We might see more of it, possibly. Makes a change from Sonic from a laser screwdriver and Missy's deaf iPad. But no, I think that's everything to do with the episode. It's quite I waffle on a lot about this because this is my first review. Just wanted to just ramble about it, and I'm gonna need to figure out a model of doing these and how to go about doing them, and especially sort of maybe shrink it down, talk less about the plot, but I thought it might help to sort of go through it so everyone knows what the deal is and my thought process. But yeah, I mean, summary of the episode, I can't remember if I actually summarized it because I rambled on so much, but I liked the episode. I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10, maybe. It's just those major things like Unit, the Master, that was awful. I think that's a major problem. And just a few of the little jokes are just a bit cringe, really. Well, no, I mean, it's a good episode. It's a good start to season 12. It's an improvement from series 11, which was... It wasn't awful, it was meh. It was just boring. Most of it was boring. I liked a few episodes from it, but there's much. And the last episode was Pirate Planet ripoff match. But no, that's about it for this. And next episode will be Spyfall Part 2, which is actually on Sunday, which is a nice timing. We got very little time to wait, and every other episode will be on Sundays from now on. And I think there's 10 episodes this season. We'll see how it goes. But there are Cybermen in this season. I meant Cybermen. There are Cybermen. The trailers have confirmed that. Definitely. So hopefully it won't be next episode. But hopefully when they do the Cybermen, it will be done good. Not cringe. Not boring. Not delete. Upgrade. Make it interesting. Make it a bit dark. Dark Cybermen stories are strong. This isn't just a kids program, this is a family program. Don't make it so overtly dark that it literally would scare and traumatize children. Hopefully not. But this is... It needs to have a level of darkness in it that gets right into... no. I think that's enough rambling for this episode, so... I hope that was an interesting review for... And I work on trying to figure out how to make other ones. But if you did like that, drop some feedback in the comments. If you got any other theories, that's even better, to be honest. If you saw something I missed, especially point out. I've watched it twice. There's always a chance I missed something. So leave comments. If you liked it, like the video. Give me a subscribe. Probably check out my other videos too. So far it's only gaming videos. I'm trying to work on because I'm going to get new equipment, so I sort of need to work on eventually I'm trying to save up money to get my own studio. I mean, when I say my studio, I mean literally rent somewhere and have somewhere I can just do my thing without interruption with a green screen up and all that. So yeah, and I'll see you in the next episode, the next review, and anyone who follows my gaming content. I'll be working on Pathfinder pretty soon. Actually, it's only 12:30 right now, so I might just record one by now. It's I've done 4 Star Wars in a row, so I'm not gonna. Anyway, see you next episode.